Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. One more.
JJ.
I'm
also gonna read
I might be going when you come back because I've got a.
No problem. No problem. I'm always here.
underneath from the outside.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Also be built out. You could build a bigger bathroom, big closet, and that will just.
Can I at some point either this week maybe?
It's basically their front back, like for
Just came up.
Haven us to be one or something. She said, if you guys come back here for, and you don't want to like rent or you're waiting to buy. You could just finish it and then go down there. Also, my dad's like den. Yeah.
So maybe you guys want to take out like a paper to make a checklist. So what my plan for today is we're gonna walk through the lease from A to Z. Okay, really exciting stuff. I'll try not to fall asleep. So look, leasing is, they say it's the gift that never stops giving. It's a sarcastic remark because you put a client in a property and then they keep calling you, this is broken, this is broken, this is broken. The tenant's calling you, the landlord's calling you, the other agent's calling you. Can you fix this? Can you help me? I'm not getting a response. Can you step in? It's the gift that never stops giving. But you can make a lot of money in leasing if you do a lot of it. And you don't want to lose your clients. So if you have a client that is buying and selling property, or they're eventually going to sell that property, you don't want them to use another agent for their lease, and they develop a great relationship with that agent, right? You're going to do it as a preventative measure, so you don't lose your client. And you can make a good business with leasing. There's a lot of things for lease that are not on the MLS. And you can easily call a phone number on a sign and say, hey, would you like to advertise your property in the MLS? And the person would be like, tell me about that. How does that work? And you'll say, pretty easy. I come in, I take pictures, I put it on the MLS, and then you're in 300 websites. So how much does it cost? Well, make them over, we'll talk about it. You bring a listing with you. Okay. So here is the process of what are you bringing with you? Okay, so every deal that we do here, there's a checklist. So I want to show you how to get there. All right. If you go to KWBH Virtual, this is where everybody should be going for our daily calendar. If anyone online at home has something to say in the chat, well, I look sometimes. KWBH Virtual is where our office calendar is. So I'm always looking here every day. What am I teaching? So you can access the Zoom calls directly from here too. But there's something else here called helpful links. If you go up here to helpful links and click that, one of the boxes is called approved logos, checklists, and disclosures. So we need a checklist and we need disclosures. So these are the Keller Williams disclosures. They're not the CAR disclosures. The disclosures that have to be given like in a, they're going to come either from California Association of Realtors, and then our company has its own disclosures. If you're dealing with an agent who's from a different brokerage, that brokerage is going to have their own disclosures. All right, so let's go on. We'll click this. So there are different folders here. We're interested in the checklist folder. We need right now we need a checklist. So what are the checklists? We have a commercial checklist. We have a lease checklist, which is the one that we're going to talk about today. We have a residential listing, residential or regular residential if you're writing an offer. 5 units or more, vacant land. So these are our company checklists of what forms we need to have a complete file. So today we're going to talk about the lease checklist. So I'm going to click on lease checklist. I'm going to print this at home, right? Or I'm in the office or at home, I'm going to print this. This is my checklist. It's going to go in my new file, right? I'm going to go meet with a landlord now. So what am I bringing with me to my landlord meeting, to my listing presentation? So number 1, the lease listing agreement. Number 2, rental property owner disclosures. That's going to be come on in. Anyone want to buy lunch? How much is
Yeah,
lunch?
Sandwiches, gourmet sandwiches here,
How much is that?
you know, they're on sale today.
Just curious. I'm just curious.
They're 12.
Because they're $12.
Yeah.
These are amazing sandwiches. For anyone that wants sandwiches, they are amazing.
Anybody want to give it?
Oh, no, thank you.
All right.
No?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
A good gift.
Yeah. Just feeding people.
It's good. It's good food.
Yeah.
All right, lease listing agreement.
Not a sandwich.
Now the rest of everything on here is pretty much after you have a lease. So you really only have to worry about the lease listing agreement now. And there's two forms that are Keller Williams disclosures. One of them is the KWBH addendum, and the other one is the KWBH lease money disposition. I want to talk to you right now about the KWBH lease money disposition. So you're going to print your lease checklist. That's step one. Okay, step one is to go to the checklists area and print your lease checklist. Now I'm going to go back to the resources and I'm going to go here to disclosures. Now I need some lease disclosures. It's the top folder. So I'm going to go in lease disclosures and I'm going to pull up the lease money disposition. Okay. I handed this out. It's on the flip side of the checklist. Let's talk about this lease money disposition. How do we get paid? We get paid up front as soon as we have a lease. There was an agent in this office going on a listing appointment yesterday. I don't know, I have to follow up and see how it went. There was a property that this agent wanted to get lease listings. There was a building with 4 available leases that she wanted to go after. So she said the listing is expiring. So I went on the MLS and I looked at the listing that was expiring. And it said they were offering 2%. And it said in the agent remarks, commissions paid 45 to 60 days after lease commencement. I'm like, that's why they're not leasing their property.
It was at 2% of the.
So we're gonna do the math right now. So switch my calendar here. This is how we do it. So yeah. All right, once you guys understand this,
Yes.
someone took the thing. Somebody took the thing. Is there a draw program? Or we don't need a draw. I think I've already done this. Maybe there's a split. Okay, so I'm gonna just do that on notes. We'll create a new note. Hello. Okay, so
I'm talking about the start all of it, you know.
all good. Okay, so leasing. How do we get paid on leasing? How to get paid? Yes. All right, here's how you get paid. So let's say that the rent is $5,000 a month. Can I blow this up somehow? Just gonna use Word. Yeah. One is good stuff, so you guys can see. Okay, how to get paid on a lease? Alright. So 5,000 a month is the rent. Now, how long is the lease? Is it a 12-month lease, 24-month lease? Okay, so let's say it's times 12 months. The total is gonna be $60,000. That is the total value of the lease for 1 year. So we're gonna get paid a commission on that total value. If it's a 24-month lease, let's do this over here. $5,000 a month. I will do times 24 months. Be worth 120,000, right? So let's just say we're doing a 1-year lease at 5,000 a month, 12 months. So here's the question now. What is the security deposit?
That one was low.
So, right, so before July 1st, you can get 2 months, right now, if for the next few days, you can get 2 months for unfurnished and 3 months for furnished. Okay, as a security deposit. That now we're talking about total combined security deposits. So if you're renting an unfurnished place, you can get 2 months security plus first month. A lot of people say first and last. There's no last, or first security and last. There is no last. We don't get last. We get first and security. Now let's just say we're getting a first month of 5,000 and a security deposit of 10,000. That's a total of 15,000. Right? We're all with me so far. So this is what this is first plus security. 15,000 first plus security. Now, what if there's a pet? Can we get $1,000 pet deposit?
Yeah.
No. The total combined deposits cannot exceed 2 months for unfurnished and 3 months for furnished. Okay, now, starting July 1st, there's a law coming out that you can't get more than 1 month security deposit. However, it only applies in certain scenarios. So most of the time, if it's a person that owns a property and they don't own more than 2 rental properties, then they can get 2 months security deposit.
Up to 2, then 2 months.
You can have, yeah, so what is the actual law? Let's look at the actual law, John, because you're asking. I'm gonna Google 2024 rent. 2024 security deposit California. There we go. Security deposits must be returned when it was out. The law limits the amount of security deposits. Until July 1st, the limit is 2 times the monthly rent. Or furnished units 3 times. After July 1st, the limit is 1 month's rent. Okay, now that's what everyone is looking at when they're looking at the law. But they're not digging into it. Okay, so we need to dig into it. And also, whenever I Google, I want to make sure I'm looking at a government website. It's very important where my source of information is coming from. So, know your rights. Okay, it's a California tenant security deposit. Let's see what this is. That's an older thing. What is the new security deposit law? It's called AB 12. Okay, so we need to know AB 12. That's what we're looking for. AB 12. Okay. What is AB 12? Well, everyone's saying you can't have more than 1 month, but that's not true. Guide to AB 12. Let's see, this is an attorney now, John Hart, commercial real estate. Okay, so the small landlord exception, here we go. Now, a small landlord will still be able to collect first and last month's rent from new tenants for what qualified small landlords. Like
It qualifies as a small landlord.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry to spend time on this, guys. Full text, here's the text for AB 12, here we go. Okay, so this is actual California stuff here. Okay, good. All right, here we go, people of California, blah, blah, blah. The landlord may demand or receive security from a service. Okay, so basically, if you're a service member, you can't. If someone is in the military, you can only get 1 month's rent for that person. There are only two ways that I'm aware of to break a lease. If someone gets deployed, right? If someone is in active duty and they get deployed, they can break a lease. And sometimes you can have a stalking case, like if you can prove someone's stalking you, that you can break lease, but that's it. Those are the only two loopholes, you know. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I know that you can still get 2 months rent if you're a small landlord. Basically, it means that you can't have more than 2 rental properties, and you can't have more than 4 units, I think, totals.
So 2 months plus 1 month security.
You get 1 month.
If you
1 month
small
of
landlord.
rent, 1 month rent.
Uh-huh.
You get first plus security.
Right.
2 months, you can get 2 months.
Uh-huh.
But after July 1st, if you own the property as like a corporation, right, then you can't do it. You can only get 1 month security. If it's a corporation that owns the
You try and get the first
you
month.
can only get 1 month security. You get first plus 1 month security.
Oh, first plus one.
Yeah, but if you're an LLC and you're a natural citizen LLC owner, you can still get 2 months rent. Yeah. So I would just say, look into the law. But, okay, now we're gonna go back. How are we getting paid? It's very important. Okay, so basically, on a 1-year lease, if the rent is $5,000 a month times 12 months, that's $60,000 is the value of the lease. Now, the landlord is gonna get, their due is 5,000 security, or 5,000 first month and 10,000 security. But how much is the agent due? So let's say we had a 6% lease and we were 3% to the listing side and 3% to the tenant's agent's side. Okay. So 6% lease, 6% commissions. Split 50-50. As it's much. Not on any forms yet. Oh, Newport Beach asked, how can I access these forms? Your office has them. You have to ask your office how to get your office forms. Your office has a checklist and your office has a lease commission breakdown. Okay, so 6% commission. So now I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to go $60,000, which is the total value of my lease, times 0.06. That's the total commission. So it's 3,600. Okay, 3,600 is the total commission. So that means if I'm splitting it, it's 1,800 to KW, to Keller Williams. It's 1,800 to the tenant's broker. And now, instead of the landlord getting 15,000, I'm gonna say 15,000 minus 3,600. That comes out to 11,400.
Is that standard that the commission comes out of that 15?
If we didn't do it like this.
Yeah.
If we didn't do it like this, every brokerage would have a full-time collections department.
Got it.
Because every landlord will say, I will pay it. Give me the money and I will pay it. They will never pay it. The check's in the mail, You're gonna have brokers calling you saying, where's my check? Where's my check? This is the only way to do it.
Does it also include, if it's a residential, the marketing of the property and that sort of
All
thing?
marketing, so any marketing and advertising you do comes out of your pocket.
Guys, you're on Zillow and all that,
Now,
whatever it is.
let's think about this. You're basically taking a $5,000 a month listing for $1,800. Now you could potentially get 3,600 if you also get the landlord, if you also get the tenant. From that 1,800, you're gonna pay a photographer. And you're gonna also pay for your time going back and forth to the property to show it. So let's say I have a lease listing right now and I get a call and someone wants to see my lease listing. Okay, great. I'm going to leave the office, get in my car, drive, wait for them to show up. Or maybe I might even go in first to turn all the lights, come back outside. Hopefully they show up. Sometimes you're gonna get a call, sorry. Or we're running 20 minutes late. Okay, and then after that, we show the property. Oh, not for me. Then you get back, you close all the lights, lock up, get back in your car, come back to the office, the phone rings again. Can I see the property? Okay, so if you do that 15 times, half an hour plus 20 minutes at the property. If you do that 15 times, that's 30 hours of work. And you start to do the math, how much money per hour are you making doing this? Now, a lot of times as a listing agent, you will get the tenant also. So that money can double easily. And it's significant money if you do a lot of leasing.
What about also in my experience that there's monthly, they say it's gonna be 10% of the monthly rent. Does that not apply?
10%
Yeah,
commissions?
there's a fee that goes to the listing agent, the rental agent.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, there's like a sign up fee of X amount of dollars.
Love it.
And they'll market your place.
Love it.
And then once they rent it, they want 10% of what that rent is, whether it's higher or lower. And that just continues through the duration of the
Love
loan.
it. Love it. That's a lot. That's a lot. So that sounds like something I want to be involved in.
But that's nothing that's not.
That's not what we do. That's not what we do. So, but you guys need to understand how we get paid, right? So this is how we get paid. You're gonna get paid the percentage of the value of the lease. If you sign a 3-year lease, this is now gonna be 180,000 times 6% split, right? So that's how we get paid. Now, we have a form that we're gonna be including with our leases. And that form is this, the lease money disposition. Every office has an identical looking form. Okay, so this is not special to us. This is how it works. Every office has this form. So what does this form say? Today's date, property address, and it's just like I just did on the piece of paper. Security deposit, 10,000. First month's rent, 5,000. Total movement, 15,000. Commission for listing office, 1,800. Keller Williams. Selling office, 1,800. By the tenant's brokerage. Balance due to the landlord, to the lessor, and then that's it. And everyone signs. It says here, the total amount due must equal the total amount move in, okay? All checks must be a money order or cashier's check. You must get cashier's checks for the initial money. It's very important. We don't take personal checks. Don't forget, we had a class yesterday on leasing, and I said this is very dangerous, the landlord-tenant business, right? Tenants can stay and not pay, and all right. What do you do if a tenant moves in the property and they give you a personal check and the personal check doesn't clear and they're in and their stuff is in? Now what? You call the police? What are the police gonna do? Talk to the judge. All right, the police aren't gonna do anything without a judge or judicial order. So cashier's checks, get a cashier's check. Then we always want cashier's checks. Do I have to get a cashier's check? Yes.
Or credit card,
Sometimes they can make a wire. You can ask Veronica for wire instructions. They can we can take a wire here.
or credit card, you can get.
Credit card. There are some landlords that want credit, but really credit cards can be disputed.
You can dispute it,
If someone
yeah,
calls the
yeah,
credit card company and disputes a charge,
yeah.
right? So I just want you guys to know this is how we get paid. Why are we doing this? To get paid.
Or if you represent the lessee.
So at the time, yeah, for my listing, I'm telling the tenant how to make their checks. Right? If it's my listing, I'm the one preparing the lease. Usually the listing broker is the one who will prepare all the paperwork, right? So if I'm representing a tenant,
Yeah.
the only thing I'm really doing as the tenant's rep is sending the initial application
Which is,
through Rent Spree. So if everyone should have a Rent Spree account. So this is the MLS homepage. Yeah, here. So this is the MLS homepage. On the MLS homepage, there's a box here called products and services. One of them is Rent Spree. So you want to click on Rent Spree and create an account here.
is it free?
It's free. It's free for us as agents. When you have a Rent Spree account, I'll show you. I'm going to log into my Rent Spree account. I can. Okay. when you create an account with RentSpree, all you do is say screen new tenants. Which property are you screening for? Well, if it's not my listing, I'm gonna press screen without property. So, who am I representing, the landlord or the applicant? I'll say applicant. Next. Select application options, standard application. So they're gonna do a rental application, it's gonna do a credit check, eviction search, and a criminal background check, $39.99, next. How will the applicants apply? Request by email or text message, so I can put their phone number or their email,
Oh, and they pay for it.
and I press send. I call my tenant and I say, you just received an application link in your email from RentSpree. Fill out the application and I'll send it to the listing agent. So that's all you have to do as the tenants rep.
You don't have to do this.
As the tenants rep. Now, I'm gonna go to RentSpree. So first of all, I'm taking my client out to show the property, so it's not like I'm not doing anything. We're finding a property. Okay, once they're interested in a property, we have to apply. So I'm gonna go onto RentSpree. And I'm going to send them the application here, just like that. Send request. And then I'm gonna tell them, check your email and fill out the application. They'll fill out the application, it'll run their credit, it'll see if they've had any prior evictions, any legal issues. I did a tenant search, about 6 months ago, and it had 3 criminal things. I'm like, oh my God. And I looked, it was a speeding ticket.
Denied.
Speeding ticket. So I was thinking to myself, speeding tickets, like,
It's criminal.
it's criminal.
A Ferrari.
Something is speeding tickets. I'm like, this guy does not care about money. Like, he doesn't care, right? Because he went to traffic school for the first one, maybe, and then he didn't care about number 2 and number 3.
If somebody's a felon or somebody say felon.
Yeah, it'll
It's a
now,
felon.
now denying someone is different. You can't deny anyone based on criminal history.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just passed this law like last year. You cannot deny someone based on criminal. The only thing we can deny on is financial.
if somebody's a child molester or somebody who's a,
I don't think so. I think only financial.
oh, really?
You can only deny based on financial. Someone doesn't have enough money to pay, or the landlord doesn't think they do. Or you can say their job doesn't look secure, they don't have enough assets. But if you get an application from someone with lots of money and if they have good income and lots of assets, you're gonna have a problem denying them. You're gonna have a problem. So,
Yeah,
right?
but they have a bad criminal record, the lowest score credit.
At that point, I would be calling my attorney, saying, what do I do?
That's somebody, that's.
Yeah.
That's
Did you have somebody with better credit on?
Oh, yeah, I mean, hopefully there's another applicant that you can go with, like I like them better.
My parents on mine. deal?
Oh, just so you guys know, there are companies like,
Maybe almost 800.
check this out, you're gonna love this. Lease guarantor.
Lease guarantor.
So the guarantors, look at this. Your dream rental unlocked, the guarantors. Renters, access, support, and protect your dream space. Let's see. Rent coverage. We guarantee leases, so renters can get their perfect home while operators attract more. Okay, so renter, there are people that will guarantee leases. There's companies that will do this. So if you have someone that doesn't have good credit or something, there are companies that will guarantee their lease.
How much?
And if they don't pay, the company will pay.
Or the company will say, you
Yeah,
gotta be.
no,
sure.
you're not paying for this. The tenant's gonna pay for this.
Or the tenant, you gotta.
Because the tenant can't get accepted anymore.
Oh,
Sometimes you're gonna come across a tenant that can't get accepted because of something. There are places online that you can find that will be their guarantor. They'll have to pay for it, but it happens.
Which is it?
Yeah, right, like, I would say that if they have horrible credit and they're a flight risk, they're not gonna take, it, right? But if it's an excuse, like, there are guarantors online, just showing you that it's available. If there's a will, there's a way, okay? So that's, okay, now. We know how leases work, now we're gonna go on our listing appointment. All right, so we're gonna go to car.org. This is where the contracts are. car.org, we're gonna sign in. And once we're signed in, we go transactions, transactions. Transactions again. And we're going to create a new transaction. So we're gonna click new. And we're gonna be a new lease. Lease listing, whatever it is. So it's 1, 2, 3 lease street. And it's gonna be a. What's that? Now, I have the option here for rent-free tenant screening. Make tenant screening simple, check the box, and we'll email you a link that can be shared with applicants. Select a completed rental application along. So if I check here, yes, and I can do this later also, but if I check here, yes, I can be sending a rent-free application at the same time. I don't know. Let's see, rent-free, sure. Rent-free is gonna email me. Okay, so document, I'm gonna go click up here in documents. I created up here my 1, 2, 3 leased street property. Documents. So what do I need? I need to go back to my checklist. What's on my checklist? What's number 1?
Is the standard.
Listing agreement. Okay, so I need to add a document. And that's called add form. I need to go here and add lease listing agreement. So I go lease listing. And there it is. And that's it, right? Everything else there, the rental property owner disclosure is part of this. So this is bundled. So let's look at the lease listing agreement. Okay. So here's the lease listing agreement. It's 12 pages. Let's see what is part of it. Oh, by the way, agency disclosure is not a legal requirement for a lease under a year. However, it is our office requirement. Okay, so if you look at number 6, it says disclosure regarding agency relationships. So you will need to circle that on your checklist to make sure that you include an agency. Every time that we sign a seller or a buyer, we're going to have agency. So I'm going to add a document. Form libraries, AR. We go agency. Disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. Adding it.
That's also if you represent the lessee, right?
Yes, so the one, yeah, this is it's just an agency. So I can check here who I'm representing. I'm representing now the landlord. Right, if it was a tenant, I would check tenant, but it's gonna be a different agency. That's number 1. So this is the landlord and me. Okay. All right, so let's look at the lease listing agreement. Date prepared is today. I'm just gonna click on today's date. The rental property owner is the name of the landlord. Hereby employs and grants Keller Williams, Beverly Hills. And when does the lease start? Start today, tomorrow, whenever whenever I get my photos ready, right? So I don't want to post date this. The fear about post dating anything on a listing is that someone can come in for your start date and steal this, and you're not entitled to anybody. So you always want to start the list date today. We can, I'm not, on a lease, you're not so worried about anyone stealing anything, but on a sale, if you're listing a property for sale, you definitely want this to start today, 100%. And then there's another form that we can add called the seller's exclusion for listing. MLS rules say we need to immediately list a property in the MLS. If we take a listing, it has to go in the MLS immediately. So the way around that is to add a form, I'll show you, called SELM. SELM. And that's the seller instruction to exclude. I'll show you real quick how I fill that out. So seller instruction to exclude listing from the MLS. So this is an addendum to the listing agreement dated today. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say, do not market the property immediately. Begin marketing to the public on. And it wants me to put a date in here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put when photo. Right. That's how I handle that. And now I am in MLS compliance. Okay. And I'm not, no one's going to steal my listing. All right. So beginning date. Now, how long do we want the listing period for? As long as we get it, I would say. I mean, there's a new law, you can't get more than 2 years initially, and then 1 year for renewals. But I mean, I want probably, I would go for 180 days, 120 days, 180 days. Fair. It also depends if you're overpriced or not, right? So I would try to get 180 days, 6 months. So if I was doing that, then 6/27 to 12/26. Right, 12/26. 6 months. Then you're gonna have the address, okay, rent amount. 5,000 a month. Security deposit. My security deposit is gonna be now this wants me to enter an actual number, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put here, I'm gonna start typing 2 times monthly rent. So this is how I do it. That way, when we have a price reduction, if we need it, I already have permission to reduce the security deposit.
That's
All right,
great.
type of tenancy, very important, what you're checking here. I would check all of them, month to month, 1 year, and then for 1+ years.
Oh, you check all that.
I check everything, because if I don't check everything, I'm not getting paid. I make sure I check everything. Okay, what's included? What's not included? All right, so what's included in the lease? I'm not gonna worry about that so much here as I will when it's time to actually do the lease. This is just the lease listing. All right, how much am I making here? I don't know, I'm gonna do a 6% lease. Either 6% of the total rent for payments due under the lease. Or if 3C applies, so what's 3C? That's the type of tenancy, okay? Total rent for the term specified in 2C. So the total rent for the term specified, yes. Okay, for a fixed month-to-month rental, I'm gonna get 50% of a month, 50% of 1 month. Now, I'll help you guys with this when it's time for you guys to do. Don't worry. But I'm just showing you what I do. This is my process if I'm going on listing appointment right now for a lease. This is my my clause that if someone comes into my lease right before it's expiring, and then after the end of my listing period, they decide that they want to go for it, I'm the agent. I'm gonna say 90 days for that. A lot of agents put here 180 days. Okay, so what if the tenant buys the property? Am I gonna get paid? Only if I check this box and put a number here. So I'm gonna put here 2.5% or 5%. Compensation on subsequent sale of tenant. The residential property owner agrees to pay the broker if the tenant directly or indirectly acquires the property. All right, so that's gonna protect you if the tenant buys the property. I have landlords that I represent that are forever landlords. They have properties they will never sell, right? That's what they tell me. But I've leased them 5 or 6 times already. I still put a number here, just in case, you never know, right? So, and they signed it. They're thinking, I don't care about that, it doesn't apply to me, I'm not selling. Make sure you put something in there, and you have to check that box. Okay, what am I offering on the MLS? So this is another, this is what's going, I don't know, this is gonna change on the new contract, when the new contracts are released. So right now, I'm gonna be offering 3% in the MLS. For month to month, 50% of the amount specified. So remember up here, I said for month to month, I'm gonna get 50% of 1 month's rent. I'm gonna share 50% of that with the cooperating broker. Okay, this is very important right here. Following are due and payable to the residential property owner. So remember we said the residential property owner is gonna get first month's rent. Okay, at execution. The security deposit is gonna go to the residential property owner at execution. Other. This is important now. Okay, here we go. Commissions are deducted. Initial funds due to. Yeah. And that goes to the broker when it's due. When are they getting paid? At execution? That's when I'm getting paid. It wants me to put a date. Oh. Yeah. Execution. What do you guys think of that? Following are due and payable to the residential property owner. First month's rent at execution, security deposit, at execution. Commissions are deducted from initial funds due to RPO to the broker at execution. That covers us, right? So we're explaining upfront to the landlord how we get paid. And if they have a problem with it, when it's time to get paid, right? We just leased the property and now we're gonna instruct the tenant to make 3 checks instead of 1 check to the landlord. We're gonna take them back. Oh, no, remember we talked about this in the listing. That commissions are paid upfront out of the initial funds. So this is how you do it. This is how you're legally. I don't know, I've never had this conversation with Michael Rosales. This is how I do it.
Entities comingling idea has gone up. There's no more, if you get a check from the tenant, you cannot put in your account, huh? There's not commingling. Yeah, you used to
There is
have that.
no commingling. The tenant, I'm instructing the tenant,
Give you a check. When you
I'm
deposit
instructing
that-
the tenant on this form,
Right,
how to make the checks.
okay.
So they're gonna make 3 cashier's checks.
Oh, they already.
3 cashier's
Oh,
checks. It's made to the landlord. One is made,
oh.
and one is made to each broker.
Okay.
Right?
If you're the tenant's broker, how do you make sure that it's filled out like this off of the landlord?
Good question. Okay, so if I'm representing the tenant. Remember, I sent, so if I'm representing the tenant, remember I went to Rent Spree.
Mhm.
And I sent the application to my clients. They filled out the application. I sent the application to the listing agent. In my email of attaching the applications, I wrote in the email, we're applying for a 1-year lease, this much money a month. We want the property cleaned. We want to make sure, that the shower is not leaking. So this is the time in your initial email to ask whatever you need to ask for. Right? So you might want to go back to the property and turn everything on and open and shut all the windows, look in the drawers. Like, this is the time. You want to make all your requests now with your application. Because there's no offer in leasing. In residential purchases, we make an offer and there's a counter offer. In leasing, there's nothing like that. It's just a lease. So we want to make our offer in the email, basically. So we're looking to, right? So they're asking 5,000. We're offering 5,500 a month for a 2-year lease, right? 1 month security. Like, I'm just gonna spell it out.
Hey, JJ, are you ever dealing with property management as well, or is that basically your landlord's responsibility?
So we don't do property management because there's liability for it. If you want to do property management, it just has to be cleared because you're gonna have to release Keller Williams from the property management aspect. And you have to have your own E&O insurance for it. Right? Because our E&O insurance won't cover it. And if we want to make sure if KW is named. Right?
Right, so in your experience and the clients that you have, they handle their own
Yeah,
maintenance management.
right. So sometimes I'll be talking to someone and they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about getting an investment property.
Yeah.
I'll be like, great, who's gonna manage it? That's my first question. Have you thought about who will manage the property? Because the idea of owning investment property sounds attractive, but there's management involved. This is a business. So who's gonna do that? Right. I always throw that back out at them. Okay, so this is gonna authorize you to have a lockbox, to put a sign on the property. So that's really it. You did all the hard work here. The listing agent, you're gonna sign it. The residential property owner is gonna sign it, and congratulations, you have a listing there. So now you need to get your photographer in there, you need to get keys. And you're gonna go back into the MLS and you're gonna enter your listing. And again, I'll help you with it.
Okay, see disclosure and everything.
All right, so now we got our listing. Listed. Now a tenant comes. And they give us an application. All right. And your landlord says, okay, let's do it. I like it. Let's do it. All right, now you have to go back to your checklist. Okay. And now we need to start adding all of these forms to the lease. Now we're going to create the lease. All right, so we're going to go back into the AR. And we're gonna go add, and we're gonna start looking for forms now. So what do we need to add here? So let's go down the list. So we have the lease listing agreement already. If you're only representing the tenant, if you represent the tenant, you don't have to worry about this. You asked me a question. You had a question. I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, you did, it was regarding if you were the buyer's tenant, how do you make sure that you're not?
Okay. When, yes, when the landlord approves your tenant, you as the buyer, as the tenant's agent, or you're gonna send to the listing agent the two Keller Williams disclosure. You're gonna send them this one and the KW addendum. Right? That's what you're gonna do. That's it.
All you,
That's all you're gonna do. You'll send them this, right? And you'll send them the addendum. The other broker might already have this identical form. Every brokerage has something like this.
you need
It
art.
says, but, well, we need ours if they don't use theirs. If they use theirs, we don't need ours. Right? But we want to make sure we get paid. Right? So we're gonna instruct our tenant to make the check. The other agent might push back on this. The other agent might say to you, no, I want one check from my landlord. My landlord will take commissions. You have to push back on that. I'll say, we don't do that. That's not how we don't wait to get paid. We get paid up front. And there could be a back and forth on this, but I want to get paid. And then you say to the other agent, you know, if everyone operated like that, there would be a collections department and every broker, they have to realize why we get paid like this. They just don't know. No one ever explained it to them, or they didn't sit in my class.
They said, can I relieve me from my responsibility to the landlord?
Okay, so
Yeah,
when,
you can.
okay, so this is gonna change, obviously, because we're no longer advertising commissions in the MLS.
Done.
This is gonna change, but right now, because commissions are advertised in the MLS, the broker is responsible to pay those commissions, the broker.
Okay.
So if you write an offer on a property and it gets accepted,
Right.
that listing broker has to pay your commission, not the seller,
Yeah.
because we have nothing to do with the seller.
Yeah.
The listing
This
broker
thing-
has a listing agreement with the seller, so the listing broker will pay and go after the seller on their. Now, we're not gonna have that protection anymore. Because commissions can be advertised in the MLS. So we're gonna have to get a cooperating broker compensation agreement from the other broker.
Mhm.
A cooperating broker compensation, agreement. Wow. Cooperating. Cooperating broker. Here we go. Got it right now. Okay, what else are we looking for? Let's go on our checklist. Bed bug disclosure comes in the regular, comes with the lease. Tenant flood hazard disclosure comes with the lease. Agency, yes, they need agency. So remember, we added agency number 1 with the listing. Here's agency number 2 for the tenant. Okay, what else? Water conservation plumbing fixture. So if you look at the checklist, it says where the disclosures are coming from. All the ones, 1 through 10 are all CAR. So go back here and we'll type WCMD. So that's the water conserving plumbing fixtures. Okay, 5. Then we have the WHSD. That's the water heater and smoke detector event. And we have the LRM, which is the lease rental mold ventilation. We have an LPD, which is the lead paint disclosure. Lead-based paint. And now we have our KW addendums, okay? And there's a rent cap, which is part of the lease already. Lease rental commission agreement. Now, if you are representing the tenant, you want to include a lease rental commission agreement. So, and the last one is a move-in, move-out inspection. So we'll do that, move in. Move-in inspection. All right, add. All right, now we have all of these forms in our lease. So when the listing was signed, the landlord filled out a rental property owner disclosure. Okay, so that was done at the listing. Okay, fair housing. Well, okay, here's the agency disclosure we added. And we added a new agency. Okay, here's our seller instruction to exclude the listing because we're starting our listing today, but we're not putting it in the MLS. Do that once we have pictures. Okay, here's the cooperating broker compensation. So this is a form that we're going to be using a lot now because commissions are not advertised in the MLS anymore. Okay, let's get familiar with this form, guys. You guys are here. Let's
So you
let's
only
just look
here-
at it.
This make it here for other broker only, you're not with anybody else.
So here's the here, we're in danger, we're in the danger world now,
Danger zone.
because we've always been protected by the advertised commission in the MLS.
Yeah,
And now we're not in that world anymore.
Yeah.
We need to send this document. We need to get this document signed by the listing agent to tell us what we're getting paid. If we're the listing agent, we're gonna have this document ready to send in our phone, on our computer. If someone is calling me and saying, what are you offering a commission? I'm just gonna send this to them.
Mhm.
Okay, this can't be on the MLS. So we'll figure this out, but this is the document you want signed to secure your commission. Cooperating broker. If you're representing the buyer or the tenant, you're the cooperating broker. You're either the listing broker or the cooperating broker. Okay. So let's see what this says. So Keller Williams is the seller's broker. And there's the property address. Identity of the buyer's brokerage firm. Okay, so it could be any broker. And who are they representing? So you need to do the buyer's name or the tenant's name. Property, this is gonna go away, by the way. Property listed with the multiple listing service. There is nothing listed with multiple. Okay, so let's just look at here, property not listed with an MLS. Buyer's broker compensation will be, and this is what we need, 2.5%. You know, we need that.
Mhm.
And that's it. And then it's gonna get signed by their broker, actually, their broker, their office manager. When I take a listing, I'm gonna have Michael sign this. Showing 2.5, right? If that's my listing, Michael's gonna sign this. I'll be able to send that to anyone I want. Make sense? So I already have it. So hopefully this is what people are doing.
What's the date?
All right, so now we have another agency agreement. This is the one where we can check tenant. Right, so that's AD-2. Number 2 is for the tenant. All right, we'll keep going. So we have the water conserving plumbing fixtures. So it's interesting. Plumbing fixtures, toilets, 1.6 gallon flush, 1.6 gallon per minute. Water heater, smoke alarm. So these have to have smoke alarms. The water heater has to be double strapped. Lease rental mold. The mold ventilation addendum is just saying that mold exists. Mold is everywhere. So that's what it's saying. Mold exists. Mold can grow if the premises is not properly maintained. Moisture may accumulate. This basically says to the tenant, if you see water leaking or moisture, you need to tell the landlord right away so the landlord can address it. If you as a tenant allow a leak to leak and fester and grow mold, and you never told the landlord about it, you could be liable for that as a tenant. You do have a responsibility to immediately.
I didn't know.
No, they should know. So here it says the tenant's responsibility is to maintain the premises free of dirt, debris, and moisture. Clean mildew and mold that appears when an appropriate cleaner. It's putting the responsibility on the tenant. If they see something, they need to address it because you're not there.
Yeah,
Clean and dry visible moisture. Use reasonable care to close all windows and other openings of the premises to prevent water from entering the premises. What if you have a tenant that leaves their windows open when it's raining? They don't care about the floor,
yeah.
right? This is protecting the landlord, actually.
Does this apply more if it's like a single family home that you're leasing?
No. Why?
Because I leased an apartment and they didn't have a lot of these.
They didn't have this document.
Not this one.
Well, they should
They
have.
also they didn't ventilate the whole building, so I wonder if they put it in on purpose.
So I'll go into a lot of condo buildings and they won't have a fan, like usually in the bathroom you'll have a light switch and a fan switch.
Mhm.
There are some buildings that don't have the fan switch, but they have like you'll see like a square vent and that draws air. So what that is, it's a vent stack that goes through all the units. And on the roof, there's one fan that pulls the entire stack. So you're always wondering, like, how is the air being pulled? It's because there's one fan on the roof that pulls air through the entire stack that hits every unit in the bathroom.
This is the microwave fan that's supposed to suck.
Oh,
There's no. Is go.
yeah, those microwave fans,
Apartment.
those microwave fans are crazy. Whenever, so what we're talking about, when you walk into a kitchen and you see a stove and the microwave on top, and you can turn the fan on the microwave that sucks the stove up. Open the cabinets above the microwave
Yeah.
and look if there's a vent on top. Sometimes there's not. It's called a recirculating exhaust. It's crazy.
And it gets all over our cabinets and it's all over our ceiling and if you clean it, it peels off the paint.
So, my nephew has a property in Sherman Oaks that he had tenants that all they did was cook greasy food on the stove top every day. Greasy food, greasy food, greasy food. His whole kitchen was grime.
Is that even, are you legally allowed to not put in ventilation above a stove? That feels like not.
But you have to have ventilation. You have to, I mean.
Is a, so they.
You know, it's interesting, when every property that I walk into, houses even,
Yeah.
whenever I see a cooktop, I look to see how it's venting. You know, you're gonna see some cooktops, they have an under, but it gets sucked down below and out.
If it-
It's called like an underdraft.
Yes.
So there's a button you push and the thing goes, and then it sucks the air down. And then, but you have to look like, when you're cooking, where's the smoke going?
If you have that include induction also, you can have induction oven that. I don't know if there's no smoke in that.
All right, so that's the mold. Okay, lead-based paint. This disclosure is only required for properties that are before 1978. Paint used to contain lead prior to 1978. So there were kids that were eating paint chips, right? There was a problem. So that's where they stopped making paint with lead in 1979, 1978. Okay, if you're representing the tenant, are you gonna get paid on renewals? Are you gonna get paid if your tenant buys the property?
Yeah, if you sign it.
You need this document. Because don't forget, the only thing signed by the landlord so far is the listing agreement. The listing agreement protects the listing broker. It doesn't protect you. Right? We're here to protect ourselves, so the listing broker is protected because they signed a listing agreement. The listing agreement says they're getting paid on renewals. Right, they're getting paid if the tenant buys the property. We have nothing like that. So we need to include this lease rental commission agreement. And it's basically saying we're gonna ask for it to be paid on renewals. And what about compensation on subsequent sale? So here we want to get paid on a subsequent sale. Right? So if you're the listing broker, you don't need to worry about this form. But if you're the tenant's agent, you do need to worry about this form if you want to get paid on renewals or if your tenant buys the property.
Do you attach that with the KW?
I would, yeah. So what am I gonna send to the other agent? I'm gonna send them the KW addendum, KW lease money disposition, and this. And the lease rental commission agreement.
And the agencies.
Agency, they should include it. If they don't include it, I'll just get it signed and send it over. Yes. This is a funny one. Like you might just ask them to include this and the listing agent will include it for you. You can just say to the listing agent, are we getting paid on renewals and subsequent sale, if there's a sale? Ask them, see how they feel about it. So, you know,
They renew for 30 years, you get commission.
yeah. Yeah.
For the description, it says just the first month, you can still.
So there are some agents that would write in the MLS, first year paid on first year only, right? No renewals. Right, so there are agents that may write that in because the landlord is like that, so we'll get it. It is what it is. But we can ask, no harm in asking. All right, move-in inspection. The tenant is responsible for damage. Okay, so the tenant should be signing off on this. If the tenant sees damage, they need to document it in the beginning, so they don't get dinged when it's time to move out. Personally, I will go through the property with my phone on video mode, and I take a video of the entire property. So I do a 45-minute to an hour property condition video
For leases.
for leases. I look at the floors, I look at carpet stains, scratches on floors. I try to get all the different angles of the light. I'm looking at the corners of doorways, thresholds, tile. See, I'm looking for any cracked tile. I'm looking for the backsplash around the sink. I'm looking for if it's caulked properly. I'm opening cabinets. I'm really doing a thorough video. All the light fixtures to see if there's any cracked glass. You know, the light switches. I'm really doing a thorough
How
video.
about the yard, you know, but there's a lot of
Yard.
plants in the yard.
All right,
and
sometimes
The guy came in and put a lot of waste, put up marijuana plant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, all of a sudden, when like you garden, what, do you- I mean, but. I.
Okay, so
What is-
so I just want to say with marijuana.
It's big.
The issue with growing marijuana in a house is moisture. So
Yeah,
if you are ever representing a buyer that's looking at a property that they used to grow in the house, that house could be a tear down because it could have mold everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you grow, you need to, I've never grown.
Build a green.
Disclaimer. When you grow, you need to figure out how you're gonna vent the moisture. You're growing plants.
Inside the yard,
It's like
the yard
you're-
open out, can you?
When you grow inside a house, it's like a hothouse.
No, outside the house, in the yard
Outside, okay.
is okay, but inside.
So-
can they
so
open
outside-
up?
Outside, you need to worry about methamphetamine dumping. If you go to a backyard and there's nothing growing, that could be a sign that there's been chemicals dumped on the property. So there could be toxic, it could be toxic, like nothing will ever grow back there because they were cooking meth in the house and they kept dumping the chemicals in the backyard. So it's happened a lot. This is common. It's not like I'm saying this is common. You know, there are disclosures that you'll see in our
Would you
regular.
suppose in that one that?
There are part of our disclosures saying check for methane, you know, when you send a transfer disclosure statement to a seller, it says, are you aware of any hazardous waste on the
Oh,
property?
I don't waste, yeah.
And the seller has to check no or yes. Right, so, yeah,
Jeez.
but that's it. I mean, the tenant is now gonna sign off on the condition of the property. And congratulations, you're gonna get your cashier's checks and you have a lease. Done, not done. You're gonna get called all the time. I need this fixed, I need this fixed, so.
Say go to the property manager, I'm not the property.
Oh, yeah. So let's look real quick at the disclosures.
Do this either because the property management will just fix everything. So it's like they didn't do an inspection before and they didn't ask us to do it.
I just remember when my son. We rented the place for my son at college. And I remember they had the management company for the building left a package and it said, you have 7 days to fill this out. And it was the move-in disclosure.
Yeah.
You have 7 days to fill this out and return it to the management office. So as I'm sitting there with my son moving in, I went through the property and I filled it out. And I said, you have to give this to the office. So I said, this is horrible. This is destroyed. It's doing.
But if they don't do that, then what happens if they're coming back to you,
Then they can keep your security deposit. The landlord can keep your security deposit.
even if they didn't offer that to you?
Yeah. They can say, yeah, the proof is really on them to show the damage, but the proof is on you, the tenant, to prove that it was pre-existing damage.
The rental.
But see, they fixed previous damage is what I mean. So it's like at a certain point.
Yeah, as a tenant, you need to document the current damage when you move in. The burden is on the tenant to do that. Otherwise, the landlord's gonna say you broke.
Yeah.
If the landlord has to give a statement of the security deposit the landlord has to return the security deposit within 21 days of getting keys on move out. The landlord has 21 days to give back the security deposit. Or they can give a statement of why they're not giving back the security deposit. They have 21 days to do that. Or partial refund. Full refund, partial refund, but they have to document things that are being deducted.
If they leave the stuff in the home and they live a lot of stuff like.
That's okay, so that's abandonment.
Abandoned.
Yeah, so there's a form for that.
Is that the one for that?
There's a form for that, yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So where's the form?
it's good, actually, you have
Here's the form, John.
abandoned.
Yeah, so here's the form.
It happened to me last time.
Yeah, so let's just look at here, oh no, okay, so It's actually, it's not a CAR form, it's a CAR letter. So we're gonna go CAR sample letters. CAR sample letters and abandoned personal property commercial, abandoned personal property residential. So here's the form,
Abandoned.
abandoned personal property. Notice to agent and broker. Sample letters being made available as courtesy by CAR. Describe the personal property left behind, insert the address where the property is being stored. Only check paragraph B of the estimated resale value of the abandoned property is greater than 700. The notice should be personally delivered or sent by first class mail. There you go. So
When itemize what is there.
you may claim this property at the following address. Do you need to give them time to claim it?
You can move them into a storage area and fill out this form and tell them to go get it over there.
So landlord recently total resale value is 704. So the question is, how long do you have until you can get rid of it, right? The date inserted in the third blank line should be at least 15 days after service. I know there's another letter. Form library sample letters. So belief of abandonment, belief of abandonment. See. John, you always give me very special.
No, it's okay.
That's very good. Okay. So here, but this is for someone that's abandoned the property, like you have a property, someone moved out without telling you,
Oh, you're
right?
right.
There's a form for that too. Yeah. So anyways. You guys now should know how to get a lease listing, how to apply, how to send an application to your client through RentSpree.
Yeah.
Right? So you're dangerous now. So you can take your tenant out to see property and go to RentSpree and send applications to your tenant.
Okay.
Once they fill it out, you'll email it to the listing agent. And then the listing agent and the landlord will approve your tenant. Once the landlord approves your tenant, you will send them our KW disclosure, the lease money disposition, and maybe the lease rental commission agreement, right? To make sure that you're protected on renewal and subsequent purchase, maybe. And that's it. That's all there is. So.
We're not property managers.
Oh, we're not property managers. So that's exactly what the that's what I wanted to show you. That's exactly what that said. So here at KW here, right here. So here's the other disclosure. It's the KW addendum, and that's exactly what it says. Landlord and tenant acknowledge and agree that Keller Williams Realty Beverly Hills and its agents are in no way acting as property owners. That's exactly what it says. Yep, that's it, guys. We're waiting for forms changes from CAR. So
In July or no?
so there were supposed to be, there were a lot of forms that were released 2 days ago. But everything that had to do with the commission was not released. The CAR and the Department of Justice are still talking about it. California wants to make sure that what their forms are not gonna have a problem with the Department of Justice. Yeah, please. So, yeah, California is just being extra cautious
Yeah.
that the stuff that we give out is
Nice.
not, that we're not gonna get sued.
Oh, my God, you're back. My dog. Yes, thank you. Now you're going for 10 pence instead of one.
So when these forms change, guys, I'm gonna be here. By the way, I'm here to help you. Like, don't worry. When it's time, when you have a tenant, when you have anyone, you're going on an appointment, call me, I'll help you. Don't worry. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you, JJ.
All right.
JJ.
Your mask again?
Yeah.
This
for
one's
sure.
a good screenshot.
For sure.
Oh, you told me.
Yes.
I got him. I got him. Okay. It's not even yours. I do. Pencil.
So we can get rid of
Nice.
this.
And then some of them are damaged. I sent them. send back, I mean, I'm getting.
I've had a couple that. No. Get a chance. Want to text me?
They see shipping and everything.
Okay.
So it's. It's like.
Guys, it's.
I don't have another. So.
Do it. I said, I'd love to do it on your other signs.
Then you have your signs.
I do have my signs.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Oh, I'm out of town, so.
She gave you this number. No, she gave you the number.
Okay,
Your mom gave you your number.
okay, yeah, that's what I
You
said.
got permission to call. You got permission.
Okay, so I can keep calling.
Well, once you've talked to him, now he's your contact.
Okay.
No problem. It's just the initials.
He doesn't go.
Yeah, you're fine.
The average person. For another agent that you have access to.
Thank you, I sent email.
And then fan signing the rest. The average person can, yeah.
They trying to go to.
Well, because what happens is you're gonna be sending them a link. You'll get notified after it's complete. But can the average person sign up? I don't,
Yes.
I'm guessing, let me see right now.
Like someone who's not an agent, somebody that want to do that.
Cindy Noah.
Let me see.
See you too.
I know, watch it, like dying. But it's okay, I put it, I can always watch it online, I guess, like
Yeah, I
find
know.
ways to, some like, I know.
I know, we like haven't sent, like, played.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so.
There are, people are doing parties,
I know.
like viewing parties. Yeah, it's, yeah. But let me text you,
Yeah,
in case I'm going.
Talk to Barbara, I thought that is her dad.
I did, yes. I called her yesterday and I'm gonna meet with her on this weekend.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I don't know what's like gonna happen, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try like her and like also do my things, you know, like also. Yeah, no, she's like, oh, there's like few things that I want to do. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But now I'm kind of scared that I'll be missing out and I'm not gonna.
Good for you,
Huh?
because she's trying. to.
Oh, did it?
Yes, that was the idea, but.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm serious. If I hear something on recording.
Like write offers,
So she.
yeah, like basically.
But then you gotta get.
No, I mean, whatever I,
My friend
like,
asked you.
like, for example, she's like, you need to do phone calls, you need to, and whatever deal like you get, will, like, there's, you know, you'll get part of it and I'll get. Just wanna see how it is. And then, yeah, that's what you came here.
I know,
Yeah.
you got to think about like, is it worth it financially, she's not nanny. Like, it's just.
I don't know how it's gonna be, like, I don't know how it's gonna be, I don't know what she's gonna make me do, she told me that.
That's just you right now, too. It's like, you're doing it.
For that, it's landlord tenant. So, unless she has a trouble.
Oh, agreement.
Things going on, and,
Oh, so,
well, like,
sure.
and then I'm like, okay, now I know, I'm like, now, I'm gonna get on top of you. And she's like, yeah, do it, because now we have some lights. And she's gonna get lights. And I'm just, she's doing phone calls, so she's writing down offers. And so far she has made like 1,700 in a deal. And she's like, but that's how you start, because that's how you get experience. And that's how, yeah. So I'm like, it's not whatever.
Mine was Ed.
That's about it. You have to make it clear that if you are gonna agree to like become like. A member.
She has to figure out brand of her.
Doing everything for her.
I wanna tell her
And like see, like you need to go with the idea that it's gonna be like established agents and not a woman with one specific.
Yeah.
Because it's like brand new and like.
Yeah, I'm gonna review my contract too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see, yeah, I'm gonna see what we have in the contract, because I can hear.
Address.
On her, like, I'm under her, and I need to, like, review all of that.
Yeah, make sure to like.
She's trying to find a tenant so she can.
Yeah, tell her.
I'm gonna.
Want to advertise property in MLS.
That's
I'm just like afraid of, but at the same time.
Would be that would be the big seller.
Yeah. I have the same.
Showing her property. Right now, she doesn't have agents showing her property.
I think that's what she wants.
If I want to list, if I want to lease,
I know that,
I'm going on the MLS.
like the whole reason,
And then also your breakdown here, I totally understand this.
like to the
And that's-
project, to the.
Yeah, my screen won't be so much. It has 7 up.
I'm gonna see her on Saturday.
Okay.
I'll probably just say, and the MLS might be.
Yeah.
Which is kind of,
Plus this way to go.
Then
I mean, like, it's to her would be.
but one of my valve.
On Saturdays. And not. Yeah. Like you get to like. Be.
Yeah.
Their deals.
Because agents look at.
She's just basically.
Wait.
We're facing.
Yeah, she's like a co-ed.
Right.
I'm gonna see, I'm gonna meet up with her, I'm gonna let her. Go through, go,
I don't have time to look.
and then once we get the vibe of like where this is, what which I think is what I would like.
Yeah.
Like,
That's my crazy.
yeah.
She's like, I'm British.
Before we-
So make the agent with you or
Yeah.
Build it. Someone who's busy.
going off company.
Professional does not have time to
But I
look.
know that you're
An agent, it's like this.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm super stressed because I know where she's going, but I'm gonna see.
And I would check the contract.
It wasn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna check the contract right now.
Yeah.
It was like someone.
Thank you. And I'll mention that to
I don't wanna be here anymore, it's so cold and I'm sorry.
My grandma used to live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
are you staying, are you leaving? Let me know, today is at 6. Six, I know. Like, it's
so
a
excited
big
about it.
article,
Yeah.
and it's,
But then it was like.
Yeah.
Nate
What's
was
the
like
other one?
that's, I think, I'm gonna,
Should bring one.
No, it's not one in July.
Yeah. It was like.
yes.
And it was like-
Waiting for it. She has the property that's on lease right now.
The owner is.
I got you.
Yeah.
You need to get it there.
But yeah, it's okay. Let me try. That's,
Yeah.
I talked to her yesterday. I'm scared. I have
Don't wait till.
fun memories because I'm not there. Yeah.
That was her position.
Saturday is your listing appointment.
Yeah, I saw her. They're kind of like.
Let me just check.
But that street's so busy. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Because Virgil turned into Hillhurst when you go to school is. I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Vaya, empiece. Que si quieres que me hablé con la muchacha y me dijo que nos vamos a reunir el fin de semana para que ella me enseñe cosas y que supuestamente no sé qué tal va a ir. De hecho, ahorita quiero ir a chequear mis contratos, así tengo algo que tengo con él, porque yo vine a esta oficina under her. Entonces quiero chequear todo eso, pero sí, se supone que el fin de semana me voy a reunir con ella. No. Ella me trajo acá para hacer como... Ajá. No,
Thank you. We
yo no la puse a ella.
If
Como
start.
yo le puse a cuando yo fui a hacer el interview para que el William el broker de esa oficina y le fue linda gente conmigo que me dio pena rechazarle y a él le puse